on accident, I started making videos and it started getting
Taking
attention
off.
here. Most people, they do want to go viral. And before I knew it, 2 months into TikTok, I was at like 300,000 followers.
That's crazy.
And it was just blowing up. And
What was it, in your opinion, of what made those be as successful as they are?
I'm gonna give you one word:
Perfect.
relatability.
Let's talk about making money.
So I was posting videos left and right. Facebook was sending me a direct deposit every month of anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000.
Welcome to Chasing Millions. I'm Merrick, and Josh is not here. So he's taking a little time with his family in the Hamptons in New York. Have fun. I'm here working, doing some real stuff. So today, got a fun guest with us. His name's Matt, and he has some internal connections through us, but him and I have a lot of similarities, and he's in business and social media just like we are. So I wanted to bring him on, kind of learn about him, pick his brain, talk about what he's got coming up, and find some good information and some useful information for you guys to take and use it or not. So
First of all, appreciate you having me on
You
here.
bet,
I
man.
know we've been trying to do this for a while. I look forward to it. I love doing podcasts. Y'all's podcast is right up my alley, something I have been looking forward to, and I'm glad we can make that work. And it's a neat deal that I live maybe an hour and 15 minutes
man.
away from here. And I really appreciate y'all having me on. This is an awesome setup you have here. I mean, this is impressive. I love right here, one behind me right here. It's more of that we talked earlier, that casual atmosphere, but we also have these business goals in mind and these shared business goals that we want to do. So just glad that I could share a little bit of my story with you today, because it's pretty unique in how the last 4 or 5 years have been. So it's been a wild journey.
Yeah, it sounds like it. We took some time to kind of really dive in and understand what you're about and what are the things you've done business wise, right, and social media wise. And I'm a little jealous on the social media side. I'm not gonna lie. So there's probably a lot that I can learn from you. And I like establishing these relationships, right? If anything, and I don't make any money, right, out of this podcast stuff, I'm teaching people what I know, right, and some of the challenges that I've had that could help them save a shit ton of money, right? Because it's costing me a lot on
Yeah.
my mistakes. So that number one, but number two is just finding these bonds with people, right? And they're not always there, but most of the time they're there. If you're just a normal individual and you guys are both have the same kind of visions and goals, I think it's been very helpful. It's led to some things at this point that we would have never had before, right? If I just didn't have these kind of relationships and these kind of interactions with people. So,
Relationship building in life and in business is key. And they always talk about, it's who you know. And it
yeah,
truly is, and not necessarily who you know to gain you an advantage over anything. It's who you know to work together to build your knowledge of what you're looking for. There's a lot of ways that you can capitalize on getting out there, using social media, using different avenues to make connections, to make friends, to grow in what you want to accomplish in your life and you want to help others accomplish as well. So I think it's a nice, a pairing that goes together and really building that. And now we have the avenue to do it via the internet,
love it,
which is
man.
wild.
Love it. So I like to start with personal side,
Mhm.
right? Give me a little bit of background about you. You got kids, you got a wife, where'd you come from? What'd you do? College, whatever.
It's wild. I mean, I got 4 kids.
Yeah, that's a
And
lot.
so they range from 5 all the way to 13. 2 boys, 2 girls. We're heavy into travel baseball. Now football's about to start. My girls dance. It is constant activity. I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave straight here. We're gonna go to football practice. I just finished my son's World Series in Mississippi. So like it is on the go. But I am a sports guy. I've coached all my boys since they were 3 in baseball and now football, and I love every second of it. And when we get a break, I can't stand it. I need to be doing something. I don't like to be at home just sitting around. I like to be active and going to do things. Um, I'm married. We're both from Sallisaw, Oklahoma, which is only about an hour south of here, southeast of here. And I grew up my whole life. I graduated high school in 2005. Stayed in Sallisaw. Well, I went to University of Oklahoma,
Okay.
so I'm an OU guy, Boomer Center, if anybody
I
is.
won't hold it to you.
And so went to school there, graduated, came back home to Sallisaw, lived there, and just moved over to Arkansas. Oh, probably 3, 4 years ago. And I live in Van Buren, Arkansas, just a suburb of Fort Smith, Arkansas,
Yep.
is where
Been there.
my kids, all their activities were in Arkansas. They were over in this area. It was easy, it was simple, and the schools are great over there. So we decided to make that change and move over, and it's been a lot easier for us to do. And all in that happened, and COVID happened, and social media happened, and it's been wild. I know we'll dive into that, but
Mhm.
this social
Mhm.
media world has been it's been a blessing at times, and it's been a curse at times. And people that have been in it, it can get very interesting,
Yeah,
to say the
it's
least.
definitely way different than what I'm used to,
Hmm.
right? And we're getting out there and trying new things and learning and changing names and whatever it takes,
Hmm.
right? And I've learned a heck of a lot, and I'm going to be able to learn a heck of a lot from you on the social media side. And if there's anything that we can do to help you in your ventures moving forward, let us know. But another thing I like to ask is, you're a business guy,
Hmm.
right? Did you go to college? Did you finish high school? Did you go to college? What's that look like?
So went to OU, went for business finance at OU. I got 2.5 years there, and that being out on your own, 8 a.m.
I
classes.
hear you.
And I never drank before that, never done any of that stuff, and it
Mm.
was all
All
right there in front
partying.
of you.
Yep.
And so my made a phone call one morning. My dad had a nice little conversation with me, said that come work for me, come move back home. You can go to school here. There's University of Arkansas at Fort Smith. Being
Mhm.
local right there. So I transferred, went back home, finished out my degree in business because it was all I was born into business. My dad is a serial entrepreneur, built multiple businesses and companies, a large real estate portfolio, and so that's always been in my blood. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, a CEO. I wanted That's just me. That's just I don't want to ever say this and sound rude. I just don't want to work for anybody.
That's interesting because I don't have the same experience, right? And I did go to college and jacked around, right? Did the
Hmm.
same kind of deal.
Hmm.
Too much partying. Came back, finished my degree. I did it in safety, just like Josh did, safety management and
Hmm.
environmental management.
Yeah.
But I kind of had that same deal. Like I was making good money working for the man, as I call it.
Hmm.
But I knew what they were making too. Some of the things fell through the cracks that I wasn't
Hmm.
supposed to see, and you're like, what the hell am I
Yeah.
doing, right? So, but you have a background of a dad that was an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
right? I didn't have that at all. My dad was a body man, basically working at a body shop here in town,
Hmm.
and my grandpa though he was, and I basically me and my grandpa were just like this my whole life, right, until he passed.
Hmm.
And he was always the guy to show me the ropes as far as real estate goes, and kind of inspire me, I guess, to do your own thing.
Hmm.
So having a dad like that, I'm sure that probably helps.
Yeah, and it was let me preface this by saying I got out of college and I wanted to do it on my own. And so I worked at a bank and
Yeah,
I wanted to build that side of my knowledge to understand that and grow because I think working at a bank is looks great on the resume, gives you great experience, you make a lot of connections.
for
And so I
sure.
worked my way through the ranks of banking. I went to you ever see bankers that they're like free agents. I mean,
Hmm.
they'll change banks just as fast as they'll change a Major League Baseball player will change teams. So I went to three different banks in I think 6 or 7 years, worked my way from doing car loans to doing large commercial loans. And at that time, I started buying real estate. I was flipping some houses. I was doing
You learn
things,
the game.
learning the game on both. Now I'm sitting on both sides of the
Yeah.
table trying to do this. And I got, let's just say, aggressive as hell. And I put in my notice, went out on my own. And I would say from 0 to 180 miles an hour in a span of 6 months. And maybe it was a little too fast, but it was the one speed that I had. And I
I
saw that,
get
like
it.
you said, I saw what the people above me are making. I saw, I've worked for some family banks too.
Yeah.
And you realize there's no growth there. You're
Mm.
stuck. You're not part of the family. And so then you move on to the next one. And there was no other stepping stone for me unless I went out on my own.
It was funny you say that the bankers jump around. The Literally today, the banker that was planning on using to get a construction loan to
Hmm.
build our house. My wife
Yeah.
and I are building a house, and he's leaving and going to another bank. And he told me about it, right? And it made sense. I'd probably do it too. But
Yeah.
he has a buddy that all bankers have buddies that they're in bankers, right? He has a buddy he got put over some commercial lending division, and he calls his friend. He said, "Come over here," type
Yeah.
deal. So it's funny you say that. It literally happened to me today. I learned that he was leaving, but thankfully he's a nice guy. He's pushing everything, kind of getting everything
And
going.
that's the game too, is I've had one that I've used since the very beginning, and I think it's been 3 or 4 different banks. I've refinanced the same portfolio multiple times. He moves over to
Yep.
one, I get you a better deal. Moves over to the other one, and I'll just follow him around. But
Yep.
having a good banker and a good relationship with them, because things are not always going to go smooth for you. You may have some hiccups along the way. So having that relationship is huge anyway.
Man,
So,
I agree. Like I said, we have our little Rolodex of bankers that we trust, and
mhm.
they're good to have because
Yeah.
they can tell your story too,
Yeah,
right? They know
absolutely.
you for that long. They've done banking with you for that long. They can help,
Yeah. So,
validate you.
so yeah, I led into real estate. That's how I left the bank. And that was the end of 2018. So you can imagine getting aggressive and then how all that probably played out
Changed. Yeah. Yeah.
real fast.
COVID was 2020, beginning of 2020, or
March
was
of
it 19?
2020, I still remember it was March 18th. Let's say this. I don't know if some of the audience is familiar with hard money lenders. When I was doing some house flipping,
You were using
I
hard
would
money.
use hard money.
Yeah.
And I had a hard money lender call me. I think it was March 18th or March 16th, one of the days when it first started. He called me and said, "Hey, man, they were going to do 70% loan to value." He goes, "Man," he goes, Some stuff's going on." He goes, "I just had a board meeting. We're going to drop it to 65% LTV. Is that okay?" I was like, "That's fine." I was like, "Okay." Call me an hour later. "Hey, man, we're down to 50% LTV. We can still do the deal, but we're 50% LTV. That's what the board said." Called me back at 3 p.m. that day and said, "Man, we're out. Everybody's leaving. Money's out. We're done. We have no money."
Same day type deal when it
Same
happened.
day.
Hmm,
And I was like, "This is
that's
nuts,"
crazy.
because we live in rural America. A lot of times when things like crazy like that happen,
It takes a little while
it
to
takes a
get to
while to
us.
get there.
Yeah.
And even if it ever does to what the coasts get. And we got it. And we got it immediately. But also these hard money lenders are spread out throughout the United States anyways. And all their funding was gone in 24 hours.
Will you explain to the listeners what a hard money lender is?
Yeah. So it's really a way for, a real estate investor or somebody doing a short-term loan. I say short-term because they're not made for long-term loans.
Yep.
You're going to pay a little more points. You're going to pay a little higher interest rate, but they're going to get you the money quick. And they're going to get you money. It's like, say you have rehab funds, they would do typically 65% of purchase, 100% of rehab. That way you can either come up with 35%, like I would use private money for the
Mhm.
35%, and then turn around and you flip the house and sell it, or you turn around and refinance it out. But they are short term and short term only, high interest rate, high points, but they'll close it in 7 days.
So would it be fair to say what you were doing was taking a loan from hard money people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then a loan from a private
Mm-hmm.
person, knowing your spread where you bought it at,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what the comp value is in the area and what it's going to cost you to get it back up to snuff.
Mm-hmm.
Zero money out of your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much, right? Unless you chose to be the private guy.
Yeah.
Zero money out of your pocket, found the deal, turned it around, made you a little spread on everybody else's money, the bank and the private person's
Mm-hmm.
money, and then did it again over
Yes.
and over and over.
Yeah, and the game of real estate it's a gamble, but the returns are great. And they don't always work that way. A lot of them I ended up owner financing and putting in long term, refi
Holding
later
it.
on down the road.
Yep.
And I've had some great private money people, some patient private money people,
Yep.
because like I said, deals go south, and I bet I had 3 or 4 um, deals going on when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so think about trying to sell a property at that time.
Yeah, I hear you. Everything shut down.
It
I
didn't
mean,
happen. Like
nothing.
it was
Nobody
done.
was doing shit.
And nobody was even, they weren't even showing the properties anymore. Everybody's staying inside and all of that. So it was a mess to climb out of, and I think that'll eventually lead us into this social media discussion. But
Yeah.
it was a wild times. I mean, every business got hit, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
But from my vantage point, that real estate, it was a monster when it
Yeah.
shut it all down.
I agree. And we weren't really heavy at that point in the real estate. I think right around the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 was when we kind of started our
Mhm.
little portfolio. And I'm no expert at it. I've always been very vocal about it. I'm learning, right?
Mhm.
I never did anything like you did where you used hard money and private money to buy a house outright, flip it, make a little spread on it. I've never
Mhm.
done anything like that, but
Yeah.
it intrigues me, right? And I'm starting to kind of understand how it all works,
Mhm.
right? But with that, I also have found out that you did something with knockout haircuts.
Yeah.
Explain
Are
that,
you
dude. That's kind
familiar
of
with it,
random.
by the way? Because they have 3 of them
Dude,
here.
I am. And that's where I got my haircut for quite some time. So that's why it was kind of funny. I didn't know that. He kind of told me a little bit about that piece, but I'd like to understand that.
Yeah.
And how
So
that happened. It's 'cause
weird
it's
deal.
random.
Weird deal. Have it all. And I've told the story so many times. So just know that I was the CEO and franchisor of Knockouts.
Were you like the first? So the
not
main
the
idea,
not the founder.
not the founder. Okay.
No. So we bought it. We bought it in. So how I got it is I was coming to Tulsa at that time for real estate meetings, and I was looking at properties and doing things back in 2019. Yeah, let's say mid 2019. And I used to get my hair cut at the Knockouts on Memorial by the mall.
Okay, fair enough.
And I would go and do that, go eat lunch at the mall, walk around, and head home.
Yep.
And so I loved that experience. I thought it was cool. This is different. This is way better than Supercuts or Sport Clips and all that.
Mm.
And one day I got back. I called my buddy, my friend of since we were little kids, best friend. Um, I called him and said, "Hey, man," I said, "there's this haircut place in Tulsa that is awesome. There's none in Arkansas." I said, "I think it would kill Sport Clips here in Fort Smith." I was like, "Let's look into it." I literally filled out the form, got called by the broker that day, and we started the process of being a franchisee.
Okay.
So we another COVID story. We started on construction on December of 2019 of our first knockouts as a franchisee in Fort Smith, Arkansas. They were slow. It was delayed so many times, and COVID hit. We were stuck. We had a construction loan out. We had money already borrowed.
People aren't getting
I
another
mean,
house. I
just
mean,
a
terrible time.
mother. And it would I just killed us again.
Yeah.
And so we finally opened that thing in June 4th of 2020. We opened a service business in the middle of COVID where you could have one stylist and one customer at a time. And we got hammered. So let's fast forward to August. At that point, we're open a couple months and it's awful. Like we're putting in money every month because we can't sustain at those restrictions.
Yep.
Me and my buddy David, we drove down to Dallas, Texas, where the founders were, Tom and Karen Friday. They're the founders of Knockouts. We drove down to Grapevine, said, "Meet us at this restaurant. We need to talk to you right now." We didn't tell them why, none of this.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down, I said, "I'm done." I said, "We can't do this." I said, "Take the franchise back, whatever you need to buy it for, whatever we need to do." I said, "We don't want it anymore. We can't sustain this." And they talked us out of it. They gave us so many grassroots marketing ideas and all of that. And the restrictions started to lift in Arkansas. It was getting a little bit better. And we implemented all that. And I will tell you to this day, that Fort Smith location is a top 5 to top 10 store every single month in Knockouts. And there's 53 locations in Knockouts.
Wow.
And we end up opening a second location in Rogers, Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. And the day we opened, because we had put a bug in the founder's ear before this, he called and said, "Hey, y'all guys interested in buying? We want to sell it. We want to retire. We've built this thing. We don't have the knowledge to take it to the next level. We don't have the knowledge to scale it. And we don't have the ability to bring it to the 21st century." And he said, "This is our baby. We're not offering this to anybody else. Do you and David want to buy this?"
And you're talking the whole
The whole
Knockouts.
thing,
Yeah.
the corporate franchisor, all of Knockouts. And I immediately said yes. Called David. Took us 6 or 7 months of trying to get a bank loan for
I
that.
was just like trying to
There's
get the money.
no assets. There's trademarks and patents and that's it. I mean, it's blue sky. It's blue sky of assets, nothing tangible.
But you have P&Ls and everything. You could probably
Yeah,
prove that
and so that's how
revenue,
we got it. I
sure.
mean, that's the only way we got it.
Yeah, for sure.
And we did a little creative financing, and we did some bank financing, a lot of documents to go through. And in November 22nd, 2022, we closed, and we were official owners of Knockouts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was just
that is
a year and
crazy.
a half ago.
I used to go there all the time, so I mean, that was the place I got my haircut.
Well,
So
and the Tulsa one is what got me started in all of this, and it was a great experience. I mean, we turned that thing.
how many franchises did you guys end up taking over when you had the whole?
There was 47 when we started. We brought in Idaho, we brought in Michigan, we brought in Florida, Louisiana, and we had a couple in Texas. But
That's a
all the ones
bunch.
we brought in were multi-unit franchisees, so they're going to end up paying dividends. They're going to end up opening more units down the road.
So you'd be at
So,
like 60 or
Yeah,
whatever,
and the thing is the main thing that business needed when you buy into a franchise, what are you buying into? The brand, the systems, the marketing, all of that already in place. That's why you do a franchise.
Yep.
Well, there was none of that. So we had to overhaul the entire company. So that's what we spent that year and a half. That's pretty much what we spent that year and a half doing, overhauling the entire operation systems and digitizing every single thing because everything was hard copy. Everything
were they
was hard
older and they were
copy.
just doing things
Yes,
the old
that's
way?
just how they did it.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. It's a great concept, great job building that brand.
Yeah.
But they got to their ceiling and they needed somebody to take it to the next level. So we did that and got it built up. And we'll say it's a unique reason why we sold. We found the right buyer, number one. We knew it wasn't a long-term play, but in our heads, it was a 3 to 5 year play. We looked at PE, we looked at different
Yeah.
avenues to go with it, but it didn't quite have the numbers for PE just yet. We needed to establish a little longer. But I'll say, and I won't. I don't know if he wants me saying the specifics. I won't be specific, but my partner is a large franchisee for another large company,
Mhm.
and they're adamant about full and best efforts to their company
Okay.
as a franchisee. So they kind of caught wind that he had another company and it was a franchise, and they said, "Hey, if you want to buy more stores and locations and grow, you probably need to cut this down, or you need to become a smaller partner in this."
Gotcha.
And that was his bread and butter,
So he
and
wasn't
that's
going to
where
lose that.
and so and I was like, "Hey, this is the time that I had a new venture that I had got the opportunity to do." I was like, "This is perfect timing." And then we had a third partner that we brought in as a CFO at that point, and he was also going into a new venture and doing something else. So I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna make one phone call."
Mhm.
Made one phone call. The guy's interested. About 2 months of negotiating, and we got our price. He got what he wanted. Everything was perfect. Closed quickly, and got out of there.
A couple questions about that,
Yeah,
'cause that's interesting.
yeah,
I always like an avenue I've never even thought about, right?
hmm
Haircutting
yeah.
places. What would a place like a Knockouts here in Tulsa, in your opinion, what do you think something like that generates, and at what percentage?
Well, I will say, let's just go off, say Fort Smith, because
Fair
I know
enough.
the
Yeah, yeah.
exact numbers of Fort
Okay.
Smith. A good solid store, you're going to generate anywhere from 30 to $40,000 a month in gross.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking at in gross. You're going to have a big expense. Your payroll is going to be your heftiest expense. And Knockouts is very good about paying, and they have a very good structure with their girls.
So how explain to me, because I don't know, and I
hmm
doubt a lot of people do.
hmm
You say 30 to 40,000 in gross,
hmm
right? How are you getting paid? Because the way I always envisioned it, right, is the haircut lady rents a place from you, and then she takes the cash, and she's just paying a rent on
So
her
that's not a
spot.
booth rental. They are hired by Knockouts, but they are 1099 contractors because they're commission.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the money comes through us. It has
Gotcha.
to go through our point of sale system. Cash goes into it, cards go into our point of sale, and then it comes back out in our payroll. So they are independent contractors, but they are not booth rental. They make up to 40% commission on their haircuts plus tips and all the other
Yeah. Yeah.
any bonuses or anything
Okay.
like
Thanks
that.
for sharing
So
that. Yep.
so yeah, so we're looking at you're all in all, by the time your managers get paid and all of that, you're sitting at about 50%
That's good.
payroll.
That's good. Is
And
that net to your bottom line?
then your costs after that are not a ton. It depends on if you have debt or if you have, what your rent is. Rent is your other big one.
Sure.
Fort Smith, Tulsa, rent's not that bad. My
Yeah.
guys in Florida
Paying out the
and people like
wazoo.
that, absolutely
Yeah.
unreal. And they got some in South, like Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
But they churn out some big numbers,
And they
50,
probably
60,000 a
charge
month.
more too for their
Absolutely. You
haircuts
you
to
base off
offset
your
it.
market. We're not standardized.
Yeah.
We have a standardized list of services, but
Yeah.
the price is not. So you're going to end up at about a 30% margin.
I mean, that's good. Like I said, anything you can get into
hmm
for 30% margin is a great business in
And
my
it's
opinion.
not a when I so I would do franchise development with Knockouts. I would go on these sales calls and I would sit on, and I'm like, hey, you're not going to get rich off one store. Like,
Yeah.
don't plan on it. Now we could live off my Fort Smith store if we wanted to, but you're not going to. This is a multi-unit business opportunity. You're going to need to work your ass off in that first store. Build your systems, get your managers, get all your stuff in place. Then you can scale and grow, and then you can build it into a big portfolio.
Yep.
We have some big unit operators that make a ton of money.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot. And, the mindset of what you're talking about, right, is basically building, taking in money, build it, grow it, increase the EBITDA
Mhm,
multiple, and then sell. And
mhm.
we had some guys in here that we were talking about that with. And, he basically said there's not a lot of people like you and I that think like that,
Mhm.
they even understand how that all operates and works, right?
Yeah.
So it's fun to talk to somebody like you, right, that gets it, I guess. So a couple other things.
Mhm,
You sold that,
mhm.
right? Made you a little coupon. And then I know you're not just sitting on your hands. So I can kind of tell that you're
No,
not
I
a sit on your
I
hands
I
guy.
was for
So
a little bit. It was taking a little too long and doing nothing. I still was going to the office and there was nothing to
nothing to do,
do.
just getting out of the
I
house.
uh
Yeah.
I do help them still, like with any for a couple hours a month, any kind of consulting or anything. So back in, I'd say February, March, I was like, you know what? I don't require 40 hours a week in the knockouts. I oversee people. I oversee the business operation or development and the growth, and I talk to franchisees and build our relationships there.
Mhm.
I said I need some more. This is a long term play. At that time, it was a 5 year play for us. I need some cash flow. Let's build some more cash flow. And I was going to get into power washing. I saw this cool franchise, mobile power washing. I was like, I want to get in the service industry. We talked to this, and this is the one I wanted. I said, I'll build something off of this later and add some more services. But I sat down with a buddy at lunch, and I was telling him about it. He goes, you don't need the franchise. He goes, I run the trucking company, which I was familiar with. I mean, I knew what he did. I run this trucking company. He goes, I can give you the bids to all the trucks. And I was like, how many trucks you got? He goes, we'll run 100 to 125 through our locations each week, and they're
Yeah.
cleaned weekly at
That's a lot of
80 to
trucks.
$125 a pop.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing the math in my head, and I was like, that sounds too good to be true. And I was starting to put numbers on paper. I was building a pro forma. I was just throwing out cost even more than what I thought it would be. I was like, that margin is way too good. But most people don't start a business and get a guaranteed contract like that. I
No.
was like, hell, I'll wash them.
So man.
And
Sometimes it's so you know.
and it is. Absolutely it is.
Yep.
And never thought, this relationship was built out of baseball. Coaching baseball with
Huh.
him and our kids are best friends.
That's cool.
And so it's been a great opportunity. And I've been working on that for the last couple of months. And today, here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was my very first day to wash trucks and power washing. And I did that myself. I told you earlier, I was like, you know what? I need to get out there. I need to do some manual labor. It was fun. It was kind of freeing. It was a good feeling.
Yeah.
I said, let me go out and build the systems. Let me build the process that I want to do to become efficient. Then I'll bring on team members. I know how to scale. I know how to do all that. I was like, let me work in it. Let me learn it because I didn't know how to cut hair for knockouts.
I hear
But you
you.
know what? I want to learn this business. I want to understand it. And then I will teach people how to do it the right way. And then we can build our system off of it.
So you're making a really great point that I've said before on some of our podcasts. And if you're listening to this is a very good piece of information for you. So what he is doing is the same thing that I did. That if you can go through this grind and do it this way, you, in my opinion, will be better off any other way. Is take it from the very beginning and make sure that you do the work on the ground first. Okay.
Mhm.
If you can go in there, do the work on the ground first, and then step out, do the work on the outside as managing and get good at both of those and understand it in its entirety, then you are so far ahead of most. Because guess what I can do? I can look at somebody's route and I can go, well, that shouldn't have taken that long.
Mhm.
I know how long it takes. I've done it. Right. Or you look at this truck and go, well, that truck's not outfitted right? Because I've outfitted enough of them.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying? And you can save so much time and money and effort and BS if you start from the bottom, even if it's for a little bit, understand how it works, right? So that you can call the BS, you can set the systems, you can do everything that needs to be done, right, at the beginning, in the incipient stage by yourself, right? And then you can run it that way, because that's what I did. He's talking about the same thing.
And we talked about a little bit earlier having that control. It's not a negative way to look at control, but it's your baby. Is this business your baby? It's not theirs. It's not your employees or your staff. They're not going to treat it the same way you do. So
Yeah.
understanding it first, I had a conversation with my dad when I was getting out of knockouts and I was looking into this and I was getting it all set up, and he knew me well enough to know, because I was thinking this. He goes, you don't need to do 15 things right now. He goes, get the pressure washing going, focus your full attention at that, build it from the ground up, and then you can look at scaling it once you do that or getting into something else. I was already thinking of, let's add fencing onto this. Let's do Christmas lighting in the winter. Let's do all these things. And I'm like, focus on this one thing, because my ADHD brain was already going to 12 different business ideas. And what's going to happen is I'm not going to focus on any of them, and it's going to be done.
Happens to us too, and we're scaling back from doing what you're talking about.
Mhm.
We were like, everything looked great, and I could make the numbers look good, and I
Mhm.
thought it was going to be a winner, right? In some cases, it was, but what we figured out is doing that. Once you get good enough, right, at the game, especially in the service business, you can kind of repeat it in any little asset,
Mhm.
right, to some degree, and we got I can't remember what we called it. We got a name for it, but everything looked great. the golden egg syndrome or something where everything looked great. We were doing septic installs. We got into the fuel business.
Mhm.
We did power washing, by the way. We had power
Mhm.
washing in Tulsa.
Yeah.
There was just so many little small businesses that we had these grand ideas for. And,
Mhm.
and all it did was deter my focus,
Yeah.
right? We did it. We lost money on a lot of them, and then we kind of scaled back, and we're like, "What the hell are we doing?"
Mhm.
Right? So now we're at that stage where we know what we're good at, we know how to
That's
replicate
right.
it,
Know what you're good at.
know what you're
That's the
good
key.
at, right? So be careful with that, in my opinion. I did that, and we have lost a lot of money doing that.
Mhm.
But so it could probably be done, but it's very difficult, in my opinion, because your attention gets spread out, and if you
Mhm.
don't have good enough individuals that understand what they need to be doing, then you're
Absolutely, and I've already realized this. A lot of people, because this is going to go back to who you know and building these relationships with people. A lot of people start a business or start a service business, and they're starting from scratch.
yep.
They're like, "Hey, how do I get customers? How do I get this? How do I get business?" I I don't have that problem because I've built all these relationships through these businesses, through being a banker, through the
Mhm.
social media, all of the stuff that I've done throughout the last couple of years. You know, some may look at it as wild and crazy, or some may have been a failure, but I built the relationships, and I made 3 phone calls 2 days ago. And I've got a 6,000 square foot building I'm going to go quote. I've got multiple houses from a realtor that I can go do. Like, I'm not even trying yet, and I've got the business. And so having those relationships have led, I mean, I can do as much work as I can handle right now.
Yep,
And
that's
that's
great,
something that
man.
most people can't say, but I say that not to toot my own horn, but it's because I did focus on building those connections and those relationships. And no matter what industry you're in or what part of your life you're in, building those relationships can help you in so many ways, whether it's business or parenting or relationship, anything you can grow
100%.
from.
100%. And now that we're in the service business, sounds like you're getting ready and well on your way,
Yeah.
right? I will point out that I think it's important for the viewers to understand is just like me, he found him one kind of contract, if you
Hmm.
will, right? And is going to
Hmm.
build off of that.
Yep.
And that's what we did, right? We understood how much our assets were going to cost. It didn't take us very much money to start this thing.
Hmm.
We just understood when we were going to get paid, how much we were going to get paid,
Hmm.
and how much the assets were going to cost us, and when the payment was going
Yep.
to be due, right? And
Exactly.
built it off of one contract and then just kept going. So if you can do that, that is the way to do it, right? Because you already have the cash flow coming in.
Yeah,
So
and that's the kicker to all of this. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be right now or what I would be doing or starting. But that's a who you know, and I
who
just
you
got
know,
fortunate.
who you know, those contracts is a great way to start.
Hmm.
So let's switch gears a little bit onto the part that I'm excited to talk about a little bit more. But social media, and you have quite the presence on there. It looks like.
I do.
So tell everybody kind of a little bit about your social media, where you're at as far as.
So where I'm at, I am, and I've been sitting here for a while. I'm close to 1 million on TikTok. So we're about nine. We float from 975 to 985,000. I am going to hit that million, and I'm going to get there. And that is a goal of mine. Should have got there a long time ago. We're 160, almost 150,000 on Instagram, 160,000 on Facebook, and it was all built through COVID. I talked about those businesses going the way they did. I needed something to do. I was bored. I needed income, and so on accident, I started making videos, and it started getting
Taking
attention
off.
here. And I remember the first video that got 10,000 views. Like, I was freaking out because a lot. I don't say everybody, but most people, they do want to go viral, or they do want that video to pop off
Sure.
and do something cool. Like, it's a cool feeling. I remember, when I used to, make videos for either business or my kids or activities and things. That would be so cool if it would go viral and be on this news or be on this. Like, that's a cool feeling. And the first one started to happen, and I was thinking, I was telling everybody, I was sending the video to all my friends and family. It's such a big deal. And then they kept happening. And it kept growing and growing. And I'm thinking 5,000 followers, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. And before I knew it, 2 months into TikTok, I was at like 300,000 followers.
That's crazy.
And it was just blowing up. And I would start getting, I think one of your questions, I would start getting recognized out at, I remember going through Chick-fil-A one time. And she was like, "I follow you on TikTok. Are you Matt?" And do this. And I was like, I don't even know how to react. I was like, I almost feel dumb. I was like, I'm like a D- list celebrity here. But it began to happen over time. And then Instagram started doing reels and I would post my stuff over there and it would grow. Facebook was doing their reels now and I would grow over there. And so that content would relate to all the platforms and they're all different audiences. So, sitting at, almost 1.3 million total followers, but it did become a job. I mean,
It's crazy to think about. Like, think about 1.3 million total people following you,
mhm.
right? That is a metric shit ton of people,
Yeah.
right? That's what's mind blowing to me. And we talk about this a lot. And I got a couple questions for you.
Hmm.
So social media intrigues me, right? It is something that I have went all in on.
Hmm.
And Josh and I talk about it all the time. We're all in on this, and we're spending our own money. We're having fun. We're meeting cool people like yourself, and just having a good time at life. But at the end of the day, in your opinion, right? And I know they're all different, and we are focusing on YouTube, but looks like TikTok was your number one.
Hmm.
Do you feel like the style in which you were creating the videos, or what was it, in your opinion, of what made those be as successful as they are?
I'm gonna give you one word:
Perfect.
relatability.
Okay.
You need to relate to the audience. And that's how they kept growing and kept getting big. So you can do a viral video and capture a lot of followers, but they'll go away and they'll stop interacting if you don't make relatable content
Yeah.
towards them. So I knew what my audience was.
So, in your opinion, explain doing that. How would you make relatable content?
So,
Actually, let me flip it.
okay.
Let's flip it. If you're in my shoes, right, and we're doing business stuff,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
How would you make this content? Because we talk about it all the time. We talk about, business content can be a little boring,
It
right?
can be.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And we know that. But at the same time, we're playing with different ideas with settings and different things to try to make it a little bit more interesting,
Hmm.
right? But in your opinion, what would you do if you were in my shoes to help our platforms take off a little more as far as like garnering that attention that you're talking about?
So, first off, you're going to have to hook people in quickly. And how do you hook people in quickly? How can they make money? How can they grow a business that they have or they want to start a business? I think a lot of people may be on the fence of starting a business.
Mhm.
They want to know how they're going to make money. People will stop and watch every single video that says, I'm going to show you how to make this amount of money. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to grow your business. I'm going to show you how to scale your business. I'm going to show you how to be more efficient in your business. That's what people are going to stop. So you're going to have to hook them quickly. You're going to have to keep their attention. You're going to have to make short videos.
Okay.
And you're going to have to it can't be you're gonna have to move things around. I mean, things gonna have to be short, choppy, and straight to the point. What I've learned is people that come on, I see them on Facebook all the time. They're building their house or they're flipping the house and they're going through and they're doing a walkthrough. Nobody wants to watch that. No realtors are doing slow walkthroughs, just kind of mumbling through a video. It's not entertaining.
Fair point.
Entertain the customer or entertain the audience. That's what I did. So find your audience and figure out how to entertain them. Your audience is going to be business owners or people that want to make money or that want to learn about business.
Yeah.
And so you've got to catch them quickly. It has to be something immediately. So what I would do is I started sliding. My content that
That's,
took off, I was sliding down
yeah,
the hallway.
I saw that.
When people see that, they stop. It don't matter what I'm saying. So no matter what you're selling or no matter what, platform you're doing or basing off of, start it with something entertaining. Shoot a shot off the roof of the building into the basketball goal and have some, go cut right to, what you're going to spill out to somebody.
Yeah, it's an interesting
It's
thought.
things
Yeah.
that's going to catch their eye quickly and they're going to stay entertained. And then if you want to, you're not going to make a 3-minute long video and keep people entertained. So they've got to be, like you take this podcast. I'm sure y'all make multiple videos off of one podcast.
We do. We'll make a little shorts off of them.
Yeah.
basically.
So have the full video, have the big podcast, but then clip out certain things,
Yeah.
or clip into, you doing something over there and have that in the middle of it that just keeps their attention span. Be like a mini Dude Perfect inside of your podcast
your business
episodes.
podcast. So let me ask you another question. So again, the same content as far as you're me, right? If you were me and
Mhm.
you're trying to get attention, you do what you're talking about. You say you have some little hook or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Do you think it needs to relate to business? Do you think that hurts if you hook people in with something that isn't necessarily related to what you're going to talk
I
about?
think you need to be a certain percentage is always going to have to stay business in your videos or your
Yeah, yeah.
content. But you got to I think I would spend just as much time on
Creating
entertainment
random
and
entertainment stuff to get them.
entertainment short form videos.
Okay.
Just because you make a fun video out here or using a trending sound
Hmm.
that's coming around, make it out here and have your cool office in the background and all of that. And that's going to get people's attention. And then they're going to watch future videos. Hey, what are you doing? What do y'all do?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
look into it.
That
So,
I like that, because I think we're playing with basically we want to get people that want the business
mhm.
stuff,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
we want that audience, right? Because if we don't have that audience, they're probably not going to want to hear the information on
Hmm.
our long form content. So, in your opinion, we could make some entertaining type short videos, right, to get the people
That's
over
just
here.
bringing them. That's
Yeah,
bringing them here. I mean, you can have a brief moment of something to do with what you are and what you represent and what your content represents, and have that, as your description right here. A lot of people will do a trending video, but what they're trying to sell or market to you will be down there in that description. So it's kind of subliminally in there,
yeah, yeah,
and at least they understand what kind of page this is, and they're going to go to that page. You're not going to get everybody.
yeah.
But you don't need everybody. You don't need 1,000,000 followers.
No,
You need the actual people that are gonna be interested in what you're doing.
well, let me tell you something else. So, how we kind of got started on this is we were thinking, and it has to do with people, right?
Mhm,
Is how many people are actually in the world, right?
mhm.
And how many people you can sell something to, and just your general audience. Like
Yeah.
right here, there's probably how many people you think there's in Tulsa? I'd say a couple 100,000 people, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's my audience, right?
Yeah.
That's who's going to buy.
Mhm.
And then social media is literally everyone,
Yeah.
right? So you can get 1% of a billion, right, or however the total is.
Mhm.
And I've always thought that was kind of an interesting thought process on the social media side. But anyways,
And you can build, build this podcast and build a business off of this part of it too with branding, because there is so much money and opportunity in branding, building a brand off of, y'all's company.
yeah.
Things like that because I love to tell people this because this is probably the coolest feeling to me outside of getting stopped randomly and things like that. I have multiple videos that have more eyeballs than the Super Bowl.
That's insane. Yeah,
It is.
that's insane.
What does brands pay for a Super Bowl?
I'm sure.
Is that not
I think they
it?
told you it's like for a minute it was like $1 million or
Yeah.
something crazy. Yeah.
Like I did a video. I'll say this because this is a cool one. When Yellowstone was coming out, their final season or the last season,
Yeah.
I did a video for Paramount. They reached out to me. They offered me a certain amount of money to do a 30-second video. I spent 5 minutes making that thing. It got 9 million
Yeah, that's
views,
crazy. That's crazy.
and it's wild what opportunities are out there. But you can build a brand off the podcast that funnels into your business and all of that. I get, a lot of what you do here is obviously for Tulsa, but you can build another brand that can be done nationwide or worldwide. There's a lot of opportunity out there.
I agree, and that's something that we're kind of looking at and exploring. But we just got to get this first one
Yeah, and
kind of
it's
kind of pop a little bit
absolutely
better.
it is, and it's for what y'all do is amazing, and what y'all have built here is amazing. But you're gonna have to. It's only a certain audience that's going to be interested in that direct,
Yeah.
line of what you did. But now talking about how you grew it and what you did to, build this business or where you came from, or what opportunities other people have, because they want to hear about you, but they really want to hear about how they can do it.
That's right. Yeah. It's a
So
good.
so
I'm
spreading
trying to
that
change
knowledge.
and understand everybody's thought process on this, right? Because it's way different than anything else I've ever done,
Hmm.
right? Trying to get people's attention
Yeah.
to follow you is different. So I appreciate all the insight, and let me spin this a little bit. Let's talk about making money,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's all we all want to do.
Absolutely.
Alex, real quick, will you grab me like a paper towel or something?
Yeah.
I'm getting hot out here.
Hmm.
So let's talk about making money. How much money? We always ask this to anybody that's in the social media side. How much money have you made from social media right now? Like today, are you still making money on it?
It's not as active as it was, but me and you talked about this. I'm going to get back into it. I
Yeah,
just had a lot going on
fair enough.
with knockouts and all of that. But there were, I would say, if I say really, I started getting paid probably in 2021. I've made north of 400,000
Yeah, that's a lot.
in social media, through different avenues. When I first started, there was a cool thing that happened, and they did away with
Thank
it
you.
real fast. So Facebook paid per view. and they paid a very high rate per view. You could cap out at $40,000 a month. Like that's insane money.
That is a bunch. Yeah.
And my stuff was popping off on Facebook. So I was posting videos left and right. I was repurposing old videos. I was doing that. Facebook was sending me a direct deposit every month of anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000. And
Yeah.
it was wild. I did a network marketing, $30,000 to $40,000 a month. I did brand advertising. It's not confidential. The Yellowstone deal. Turns out they underpaid me, but they paid me $8,000 for 5 minutes of my time.
Yeah. That's insane.
And brands will pay, north of, for a simple basic video, $3,000 and up. Some pay up to, $20,000 for a video.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity there. I will say the barrier to entry is a little harder than it was when I started it. But I mean, I've already built it. So
you're already
mine's
there. You've already got the audience,
I need
right?
to tap back into it.
Yeah.
But there's opportunity.
So,
everybody.
I mean, that's a decent amount of money, right?
It is.
So I'll be asking this. You're doing the power washing, right?
Mhm.
And you have this big platform of people.
Mhm.
Why the hell are you doing the power washing and not just go straight into doing that and exploring your avenues?
Because first of all, I have to. Like I have to run a business. I have to be physically into something and doing it and going on.
I hear
And
you. Me too.
if I have multiple streams, why put all my eggs into one basket? In the entrepreneur life cycle, you're rich, you're broke, you're rich, you're broke. It can be all kinds of things until you establish that multiple streams of income. When one fails here or one mistake here, and you've got these others coming on. So I've seen the ups and downs of social media, and it's not consistent. And could I build a business and be consistent? Absolutely. And I still probably will. But having those multiple streams, and I see what opportunity I had in this power washing thing, having that guaranteed contract, building it, growing it, and then probably building off of it. But I do need to get back into the social media. But it's not as fun as it's cracked out to be all the time. You deal with a lot of bull crap.
I'm sure, like I say, and we're obviously younger in it than you. You've been in it since COVID, basically, which is a great time, right, to get into this social media space because everybody's sitting at the house with a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great timing, and you're not the only person that we've talked to on here that kind of timed it just right in that.
Oh, I did. I absolutely lucked out.
For sure. So I hear you, and I appreciate all the information so far. Let me ask you another couple questions. So power washing, social media, been a CEO, right? You've done a lot of different things.
In a short amount of time.
Yeah. So how old are you?
37.
We're the same age.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
So from here, you're going to build your power washing business. You're going to probably continue doing social media is what it sounds like, right? Any other big plans? What about real estate? Are you still messing with it?
So my plan was, because back when I started, I did a lot of single families. I did some multi-units and things like that. Sold all those off the years. My plan is to, as soon as my current leases and things are up, I'm going to liquidate single family. I think the avenue to get into is I want to be more long-term. Instead of active investing, I want to be more passive and long-term, build wealth and build appreciation. So I think eventually, once I get all that liquidated, get these businesses rolling, I'll probably stick it back into warehouse, self-storage, things like that to build off of it. I think I'm done with the residential, any type of housing. I want more of a less overhead and less headache.
Yeah, we've dabbled in about everything you're talking about. We have a self-storage and a couple single-family homes, and I don't know, real estate.
I'll never buy another single-family home again, ever. Ever.
I don't. We probably haven't had the same experience, right? And I'm sure that there's probably some reasons why commercial's better than residential. And I would say my personal advice is commercial is better. And that's where we've hung our hat for the most part. But like anybody else, if you get a deal that comes across it, the numbers shake out, you're going to go after it, right? So that's kind of where we're at with that. But back to social media. When did you start making money? At what point? Like, where were you at as far as like followers? Because that's another thing we were always talking about is what do you think the point is in which you can start making money on social media?
You can make, if you do it right and you have the time, let's say Instagram, for example. I think you can build a business and build money off Instagram better than any platform. Let me just say that. TikTok is I know TikTok Shop now is going on. I don't know if you're familiar, but TikTok Shop is an opportunity that they started. And I think that's good for a lot of people. But Instagram, 10, 20,000 followers, you can start making some money.
Hmm.
It ain't gonna be you're not gonna blow up, be able to quit your job and, go buy a big house or anything, but you can make some $3,000, $5,000. That's life changing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a big opportunity. It gives them a chance to save or to budget better or to go on vacations or
Mhm.
anything like that. And so I say $10,000, $20,000. And if you want to make money on social media, your opportunity is there because it's also not easy to build on Instagram. I mean, I sat for a long time with nothing and started posting those reels, and then boom, it just shot up.
So the reels is
Yeah.
what did it for
Yeah,
you?
and I went back. I told you I went back after a month or two off, posted a couple videos, TikTok, 4 million, 5 million, 3 million. Like it was so easy. Like it just came back and it worked. Did it on Instagram, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, growing another 5,000 followers. Like just with overnight, just after I just decided, hey, I'm gonna make a couple of videos today.
Yeah.
And but I also have done a lot of research and I've figured out kind of how to do
You
it.
got a method to your madness.
Yeah, but you can make money. Me, that wasn't like Instagram didn't have that available back then. TikTok shop wasn't there. You had to go get your own. Like you had
Yeah.
to go hustle your own. Brands weren't really paying for TikTok back then. So about 300,000, I started making that money and I made that money because of that network marketing company.
Yeah.
That's how I did it. And once that going, then TikTok started adding different ways. Instagram added reels. Facebook added paying for reels, all of that. And Instagram still pays for views and reels and things like that. I mean, I'll get a $1,000 deposit here, $1,000 deposit there,
Huh.
just for
Just
views.
residual random stuff that
Yeah,
comes in.
just for views.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
as far as our experience goes, we've had a lot more traction on YouTube than anywhere else. Instagram is actually our worst.
hmm
And I don't know what it is exactly, but
YouTube's great. YouTube should be your number one.
yeah. And we do
I just
more
never
long
did it.
form content than anything else.
Mhm.
Not that the short isn't important. We
Mhm.
do some, but that's that's where we've hung our hat. Have had very little experience in Instagram or anything else, but we're doing it. We're not doing it great, in my opinion. So anything you could do to help us there would be fantastic.
Yeah, and my take too, and I'm not, it's our YouTube was to me in my head was just another thing I got to post to, and like this, and like it got to be a pain. And if I was y'all, you do have the long form content. I never had the long form content. Make the long form content, but also make what do they call them? YouTube shorts, and pick out some funny clips from your podcast, or pick out make funny videos that are trending. Put them on your shorts. Get your audience. Draw the people to you. And I don't know what y'all's YouTube is or how many
I think
people you
we're
have.
at like 17.8, something like that.
Yeah, just almost 18.
Almost 18.
So that's pretty.
Well,
That's
not too
pretty
bad.
dang good.
Yeah.
But use that to funnel over to Instagram. I mean, you always see those
We
people.
tried, and for some reason
They
we
just won't
can't. Yeah,
translate?
we just can't translate from
Mhm.
one to the other very well. So
Well,
I don't know what it is, but
then go into your YouTube channel and look at what's working. Find the videos that are working. Find what people are commenting about or talking about. Clip those into 15-second videos and go throw them on Instagram Reels.
yeah. I'm thinking we're probably going to try to get a little bit more like wow factor stuff on the shorts, like you were talking.
Yes.
And we've tried a couple little things, and some of them have worked, and some of them haven't. Right. But like I said, what we're trying to do is figure out how to garner that attention, like you've been able to master.
Mhm.
Right. And you've shared a couple things that are probably going to be really helpful for me to be able to change and manipulate a little bit and try some different things. So,
And if you want me to come up here one day and do some videos,
we need to shoot a
with y'all,
video
do some
together.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go out there and nail a putt and go straight into, did you sink your business like I sunk this putt? If not,
Hey.
I'll tell you how to get out of it.
Hey, you look like a pretty fit guy. You ever play pickleball?
Absolutely.
Are you any good?
Pretty good.
Are you?
I tell my kids this. I'm good at everything.
I tell my daughter. I
I'm
tell
pretty
my
good at
daughter the same
golf. I'm
thing.
pretty good at tennis. I'm pretty good at pickleball. I can shoot just as about as good. But I'm just, short, and I never could make it anywhere out of high school. But
I mean, I'm just saying.
I didn't say I'm great at anything. I said I usually like to be good at everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of my motto.
I just started playing a little bit. I played tennis a little bit in
Mhm.
college, so I
Yeah.
came up here and we started playing a little pickleball, and naturally, not too bad.
Well, I'm
at
going
it.
to be in Tulsa a lot now, so
You
we
can
come
jump
up
over
there.
here. We'll have a little competition. Shoot a little.
I am
Shoot a little video.
100% down. Hey, let's do it. And I mean, we're getting kind of old, so I mean, if we pull a muscle, they make some good content.
It probably will. But hey, man, I appreciate your time
Yeah.
stopping by, and yeah, appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and check out our other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram.
Go check them out.
Come on.
Man, I appreciate. Listen, this is an awesome show, an awesome setting. The valuable information that they can provide to y'all is worth its weight in gold. And I would do everything you can to hit that subscribe button to get all the notifications, get the future videos, and all the awesome guests that they have on there. I appreciate you. This has been an awesome experience, and I love getting to be on these podcasts, especially when you can provide the information that we could today.
Heck yeah, man.
So awesome, bro.